to deal more with Putin and deter him more than anyone in the whole United States Congress. I put enormous pressure on him to do something to deter aggression. I went there before the war started. Zelensky did nothing and Biden did nothing. That is the challenge. So there was a significant bipartisan support at the beginning of the war. The challenge is when President Biden decided to send blank checks, have no oversight, no deal with Congress, have no accountability, and use Ukraine as a slush fund for his agenda, and Zelensky to enrich his own oligarchs, that has no law.
What about all our oligarchs?
But because of these crooks here in Washington and Ukraine, you know, Russia is advancing right now and in the position right now where it's much better than Ukraine is.
Right now.
And that is what you haven't been in the trenches in the war zone there? I have. Many times. And I've seen what's happening in the trenches.
Why aren't you helping?
And I did as much as I could, but it's our point. When you have corrupt and weak governments, you can do nothing about it. And sadly enough, Ukraine is paying a high price for that.
Yeah, now you're creating another corrupt government.
Make sure to share this live because TikTok just told me they're censoring it.
Not just money, but the ideal of democracy versus
Authoritarianism.
and
Oligarchies.
control, fascism, moving across Europe. I mean, why wouldn't you want to support Ukraine?
I want us to be stronger. I want NATO to be stronger, but the Europeans need to be stronger too. Now NATO allies need to step up too. Americans,
I'm asking about
I'm
you.
not saying that we shouldn't be deterring.
Answer the question.
It's a headache for all of their flies around the world. But we have to be smart, and our allies feel smart.
Certain obligation because you left.
No, I don't have.
You have an obligation to us.
But my obligation only the people who elected me here.
You should be protecting the American dream that you took advantage of.
I protect interests here, and I understand the challenges with Russia, and we haven't been dealt with Russia effectively or China
Since
And we
1980.
need to be much smarter with that. It's been not happening for a long time.
I think you would be smart
policy.
Then why is Trump up there?
That's what it is, and that is the reality. And what we happening right now is a very terrible situation, but it was because weak policies of previous administration.
High school senior, Jonathan.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my God.
Oh, he might be a child. I'm not putting him on camera.
Pendleton. Let it rip, Jonathan.
I am a senior at Pendleton Heights, a new voter. I have autism and an IEP. I'm concerned about killing the Department of Education. They provide
Own this!
money for special education and guarantee my right to a free and appropriate public education. I was a proud AP student. When I was ignored, I could barely pass. How do you deliver results for people like me?
Thank you.
This is what you're voting to defund. Real people.
Education is actually extremely important issue, and let's make sure.
Do not touch my stuff!
Okay.
This is a meeting, I'm allowed to be in, you are. Don't touch my stuff out of my hand.
Okay, but we have a seat here. Do you have a seat here, sir? Right
Special seats for special people. Back to the question.
Whether you like it or not, President Trump is going to be president for the next 4 years, so we need to have a conversation.
He doesn't have to be.
That's my call. In 4 years, you will have a chance to elect your own president.
If we have that chance. If we have that chance.
In the next 4 years, at least maybe something will come about. Let's talk about education.
You won't have a job.
You are not a
Related to education. So, paying a lot of bureaucrats in DC, average salary of $140,000 per year, doesn't make education better. If we want to have education better, we need to make sure that we pay teachers better, that we actually educate our students better, and fund schools better. So what we're trying to do, there is no one taking money from the education system. What the discussion is, let's stop this bureaucracy.
Because there wasn't ever any there to begin with.
About all of the testing prescribed by federal government. They were telling me one thing is what we might disagree, but we agree there are too many regulations and too many teaching to the test that federal government prescribes.
Yeah, because testing is capitalism and political platforming.
No one liked federal tests. Now maybe they like. I do not know. I haven't been in the State House, but I know one thing. Our education when it comes is so weak that only 30% of our kids are eligible to go in the military. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. We have a 10% reading rates at our schools and achievement mathematics. We cannot be competitive with
Okay.
Have you been in a public school lately?
skills. I think this is something that has to be done. Both sides need to acknowledge that education is broken. More bureaucracy is not going to fix it. We need to think how we can spend money more wisely. So what they're trying to do, no one is taking money away. Actually, they're trying to spend money to the state. And then it's going to be different.
You can't take it away if you never gave it.
You have more ability to get involved because when I was in the State House, a lot of people come complain to the federal level, but you don't come to the state committees. So I think where there is education for kids with disability or with limited autistic children, where is education for other kids doesn't matter. Education has to become better for everyone, and the states need to do a better job. I fully support what President Trump is doing to actually eliminate federal and send money back to kids in schools and to teachers to educate children.
One more civil liberty light bites the dust.
National security issues that we need to deal with, and we need to do better on that. So all of this Department of Education doesn't help. All of this departments doesn't help. They all waste a lot of money. It doesn't get on the ground.
Come on.
From Pendleton.
Oh,
Why do you trust the state? The Better Babies Bill forcibly spayed and neutered us.
Well, I'll tell you something that
It's true.
no government should be trusted, but you have more ability to oversee government than local and state and federal government, because it's very hard for you to have an influence on your elections of president in Washington, D.C. Indiana, generally, a lot of you don't make decisions. You have much more influence when you elect people on the ground. You can go in the committees in the State House and spend hours there, and if you would come, a lot of you like that, and spend more time with your state legislature, hopefully they do town halls too, I don't know, you can make a difference. That's why you have much more impact when the money closer to you, and who is in charge of money closer to you if they don't do a good job. Because at the federal level, very difficult for people.
These are not normal
You
times.
have no ability to affect a lot of unelected bureaucrats and agencies, like none. They can decide whether you like them, and you might like them before, I might like what they're doing now, but ultimately the more power needs to be in the states where you have much more inputs, and that's how you're going to make states better. And I have to agree, even Republican states don't mind, the supermajority can do way better than
So what are you going to do about it?
So I'm not going to try to defend the say they need to do a better job, and hopefully this legislative session, governor and our Republican senators, and not Republicans, it's bipartisan, there are some Democrats and representatives do a better job with education. So maybe we can agree on that and find common ground.
Well, you sling crap better than anyone I know.
There are 325,000 veterans that live in Indiana. They rely, my father's one of them. 320. And they rely on the VA for services and health care. There's already long waits. There's already appointments that get missed that take months to get rescheduled. And so some of the cuts that you are supporting will reduce those services.
No, we're actually not looking at any VA services, but what we need to look with the money we spend to VA, how we can do better, because we actually spend a lot of it. And I have some VA in my Marion. What we need to look with healthcare for veterans, make sure maybe we can allow more, and I'm open for this conversation. This is not a conversation right now. We actually get more money to VA, and I supported that, even though I think VA needs to do much better, because I've seen a lot of people not be able to get services, and maybe we need to provide more flexibility from veterans.
More staff.
We keep funding more and more and more, but it doesn't seem that outcomes get better. Maybe we need to have a conversation, because I have a lot of veterans still come to me and say, we don't get this, we don't get mental health services, we don't get this. A lot of community organizations try to fill in on this. So I think this is an issue we have to address, because this is the people that go fight and risk their lives for us, and they come back home, we need to treat them accordingly. Federal government has a responsibility. That is a federal responsibility. We have services that must be provided by us and do better. That's one of the services that we should take responsibility. So we keep giving more money, we give more money again, because we keep through this CR, it's more, appropriations were higher for VA, but maybe we should have a conversation, how we can do better. So this is not even discussed right now, VA, I'll be honest with you, but we spend $45,000 for each veteran on healthcare, just for the services. So it's actually, maybe we should give an option.
Share the live because
Get private
TikTok is
services
censoring
if
it.
They don't have access to the services. I want to be open-minded. How we can extend to that. I want to make sure that that's an issue that I haven't. I work with veterans organizations very closely, and and I want to make sure that you guys do it, and make sure that VAs will have to do. But I always check in on them and give them a hard time. But if you have any specific cases, I have a good team, and we always follow up with VA. If you have specific cases, David and Nick from my team, they always reach out, and try.
And also because of the potential cuts in Medicaid, which which a lot of veterans utilize.
That you voted for.
Will that be?
Well, we didn't vote for anything yet, and we're not going to do any Medicaid cards. I want just to be very clear, there's a lot of fear-mongering that's happening.
Just the budget.
We are trying to make sure Medicaid is getting more and more expensive, we're getting more and more overbilled on top, and people start losing more and more services. That is not right. We cannot just let insurance and hospital makes a lot of money on top. We cannot just let hospitals build in Taj Mahals and not give money to nursing homes.
Like
That's
Donald
what
Trump.
we're trying to do. We make sure that on Medicaid plans are going to be not distorted and sent to more positive. That's what we're trying to do. What is the best way to accomplish it? That's what discussions we have. We also want to make sure that benefits are better. No one talking about cutting anything. We want to make sure how this thing will do a better job.
They were saying that they were going to cut 80,000 jobs by August. And if they do that, won't that decrease services for our veterans?
There are going to be variety of services. VA has a lot of employees too, and we need to see where to place services they provide for what kind of services. So the Veterans Administration is going to look what they're doing, and how they're going to provide the services. I can tell you, we gave them way more funding. We keep giving them more funding. So we can see, maybe they need to hire better people in the services, because I have a lot of complaints. Maybe they need to have less employees, pay better salaries. Maybe that's the problem, because, at some point you have to decide. You have so much money, you have to decide how we can do better, because we don't have unlimited amount of money, and we don't want to increase taxes.
Who's we?
The fact that it just seems that we support veterans when we're asking for votes. And when we're not, it just seems as if they're not as financially financially supported, that there's not many opportunities for healthcare.
No, I agree,
mental
and we
care.
have to address, and actually, I have a, I don't have one in monthly, but if you give you information, I have a task force dealing with these issues, and most of them are veterans, but maybe it would be good if you can get involved, so if you would like to, get involved and leave your name, then please, please do that, so.
If you care about veterans.
And as a school-based occupational therapist, to follow up very quickly, and I'm sorry to take time, but to follow up on the question from the young man who was concerned about the Department of Education, as that moves into the states, will that funding be provided to the states, or will the states be tasked to provide that funding? Because
We're going to give all of it. We're planning to give all funding to the states. We even looking maybe for some things to improve. So the funding is not good. We actually, if we eliminate some of the departments, we have more funding. So we're not taking the funding. No one is looking. We actually want states to give more flexibility, and with the funding, and actually if we eliminate some bureaucracy, we have more funding, maybe ability to provide to the states. We need to look how we can do better. So there is no one talking, it's not a funding issue, because we can actually direct money to the states directly, but we do a lot of, including like Medicaid, which we also need to make sure the states do a good job and put some accountability on the states, because unfortunately with some of the programs, and that's we have to think how to do it. With some of the programs like Medicaid, they now self-directing a lot of money but not doing a good job. So the federal government needs to have a better oversight, and states need to get skin in the game, because right now hospital, what they do, and actually, Vice President Biden called it Ponzi scheme before, and him and President Obama
He was president.
tried to
Say
do,
that.
when he was vice
Musk
president.
said that.
So what he was trying to do, when they tried to do the match for Medicaid, hospitals using so-called tax, take money from federal government and do the match, so states don't have to manage Medicaid. And it's really the full discretion. So we need to start thinking how we can make states the same as the other funds. We have Department of Child Services. We give them federal money. They spend $50,000 per child per year. I always say that we can send kids to Harvard Business School. Where does the money go? Foster family gets $5,000 to $10,000. Where does the rest go? And that is, and these are fully federally funded. So with this program, we need to have more oversight, and we need to audit them better as a federal government and see where the money goes. And that is the question that we're trying to do right now to address, because we don't have unlimited amount of money.
You represent us, not the federal
we
government.
would be concerned when the person who is auditing that is calling some of those programs parasites, and some of the recipients of those programs parasites. Those statements. Words matter.
Right.
Words matter.
Thank
So-
you.
Your
I don't know what
constituents
people
parasites.
would say. I don't know. A lot of people say different things. I'll tell you what we're going to do with Congress and what I will do. I actually cannot even tell you what the whole Congress is going to do. I'm just one vote in the Congress.
Okay.
So that's why I can only be responsible for what I say, for what I do, and what I'm trying to accomplish. What I'm trying to accomplish to make sure that we have some programs that are extremely important for the people, safe and better. We need to make sure that we come up to better money there, but make sure that good money can go to better causes, and we improve these programs. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Ultimately, Congress will take a vote, and you will be able to see, and I'll be as transparent as I can, because a lot of these bills are very complicated. So I'll try to simplify, to explain what we're doing in reconciliation, and hopefully, I think you might like a lot of things in it.
I doubt it.
Mr. John Kalisis, I'm sorry if I butchered that, Mr. John Kalisis.
So why did we get rid of all the inspector generals? Victoria? Why did we get rid of the inspector general?
Be here.
It's her job.
Please, courageous and stand up for the, basically for the rule of law.
January 6th was not the rule of law.
I think a lot of people have a different definition of what a rule of law, but let me explain. For the federal government, it seems like a lot of people, and it's interesting how hypocritical a lot of people didn't question anything in the previous administration, and now and our law,
Pathetic.
and our That is number one responsibility of federal government, national security.
From the Canadians.
Enemies. Make sure that we are very smart with how we are going to, deal with our adversary, not depend on countries like China, not let countries like Russia advance in Ukraine, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and around the world. Make sure that we have strong military and national defense equipped to new challenges. The challenges becoming multidimensional. The wars becoming multidimensional. And a lot of our adversaries are moving about that. So that is and then make sure that we actually protect constitutional rights, make sure that Congress, and make sure that Congress is doing its job. Congress, as a Congress,
Double talk.
but I'll tell you, Congress has abandoned its duty for 2 decades, completely abandoned duty. We don't
And you're going to be out of a job.
we don't look at 85% of spending. I do what I can as the wrong person, but we have a tight majority. Even challenging my own party, which is not that easy. Leadership of my own party.
We'd love to see that.
It is extremely hard to do to go against the speakers of the House, and actually challenge your own speakers.
That's your job.
I understand it's not. I'm informing the leadership of my party, and if they're wrong on some issue, I'm willing to challenge them. And we have to do something about that. And that's what we're trying to do, because until Congress passing laws, we're not doing. And look at all of the spending, not 15% in some kind of not a good way, but 85%. There is no going to be accountability on the other branch. And I might like now what the other branch is doing. I might not like it in 4 years. But that's not a way to govern. We shouldn't be governing like that. But that is a dereliction of duties by Congress. So I'm trying to change them. I'm fighting with the whole United States Congress right now to change the processes, to change the Congressional Budget Act, to fix some of these processes that have been broken. And I think you actually would like more things if you would ever listen to me and be open-minded that I do than you think. Because these are very tough things, but that is the only way how we can save this republic for future generations and kids. The only way we're going to get our fiscal house in order and Congress will start doing its job, and we'll try to do so. I do my best, and hopefully if I'm successful, it's going to be a tough battle. I'll be able to deliver some things this year, but it's going to be a battle.
But you're not listening to us.
The gentleman has a follow-up question.
Are you willing to challenge Donald Trump?
If I'm wrong, he's doing something wrong, but like right now, a lot of this is very helpful to me. And
To you.
Count the ways. How is he helpful to you?
actually, running machine that even Obama tried to do it. Biden tried. They couldn't do it. There was this.
Forget about Biden. Forget about Biden.
Not politically easy, and he's doing some things, including like in healthcare. Believe me, healthcare cartel, the biggest lobby for both parties. To come in after them, there is no upside. There's only downside for every person there. But we have to. If we don't fix healthcare, if we don't have healthy Americans, if for that money,
like our president.
It shouldn't be a partisan issue. Unfortunately, it became, but hopefully maybe we'll get some reconciliation and we'll find more bipartisanship on this issue. We actually have some things that recently Judiciary Committee was able to do some questioning of antitrust.
Your voting record precedes
actually
you.
was supported by Jayapal last Congress, so maybe we'll see. Maybe there is more common ground going to happen a little bit later in the year. Just right now,
wait.
Reagan Beckett. Reagan Beckett.
Thank you very much. I do want to acknowledge that, your presence here today. We really appreciate it, especially after the town hall yesterday. I do want to acknowledge that at the town hall last night, the question was asked, what policies do you support to uplift and expand the middle class? Your answer mostly consisted of improving the economy, but in the same breath, you acknowledged the oligarchy and its effects on the middle class. you have abstained to vote on the Rural Small Business Resilience Act, the Small Business and Procurement and Utilization Reform Act, the Small Business Advocacy Improvements Act, and the Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act. You voted against the Paycheck Fairness Act, the Right to Organize, the American Rescue Plan, and the Infant Formula Supplemental Appropriations Act. So what policies specifically do you support and it hope to see to expand the middle class?
I think we have, and we have the discussions and some specific acts. I'd be happy if you provide us, I can look into them because a lot of my name I'm not sure. I think I discussed it yesterday about, that I'm a supporter of right to work, but I work very closely with union too, and I'm willing to help them on issues we agree on. I know that I think we had a discussion. Your neighbor had to ask you questions on that yesterday, maybe not someone else, But I think that is important for us to think about it, how we can help small businesses to survive. But I'll tell you, one thing that is really the most, we cannot be, every time government passes some subsidies in Washington, D.C., usually they don't go to small businesses and we the people. Every time we do some credits, they go to large special interest groups, large corporations, they're spending money, and then, so that's why a lot of the things that are happening, I'm not supporting because they're not equally distributed. We need to make sure that everyone has opportunity, not very few connected to people in Washington, D.C. A lot of the perks that we are passing in Washington, D.C., you need to understand they're lobbied very hard by a few. Few NGOs get them, few corporations get them, and then they don't have to pay taxes, and most parties do. Not just Democrats, most parties, they don't have to pay taxes, they get a bunch of grants, they get a bunch of subsidies, they don't have to follow the rules, they give them tax abatement, they give them tips, give them perks, and then how the small business can succeed. That's right, we're making and government get the much power in deciding who are going to be losers and winners. And usually we the people lose when the government starts deciding. So we need to stop this distortion because I used to work for Fortune 100 American Big Four companies. So I worked for large corporations. I did audits of large publicly traded companies.
You're worth $25 million.
I studied that's why I understand the from inside, and I understand why they're not paying taxes and what perks government gives them. But then when I started my own business, a small business, I'm like, OMG, this is hard, between state, local, federal government, I don't get all these perks, I don't have lobbies, I cannot afford all this political power that they can, I cannot compete with them. That's what creates distortion. So we need to think how we can build wealth more from people in middle class, people so much lobbying that when they pass a legislation, do you know how, and I was actually shocked at the CPA they did when they did pass tax legislation under President Obama, how a lot of wealthy people lobbied not to pay taxes.
You're worth $25 million.
They had, and actually almost got at the table again, and I said, no in hell, I'm going to support it. So they had to do it, so they tied capital gains, to ordinary income, right? A lot of wealthy people don't get ordinary income because they own companies, they have, like shares and stuff. They don't have to pay salaries. So what they tied. So if you have zero ordinary income, no matter what you make in capital gains, you can make billions, you pay no taxes. So that's the whole created under Obama and under Trump tax. So there were a lot of people who were pushing to have that again, and I actually said, no way now, we're not allowed to do that because it creates so much distortions, and we cannot allow these people have a loophole not to pay taxes and make billions of dollars.
Okay, I have two questions here that are similar.
I wasn't finished. I do have a follow-up question. I feel that the same thing happened today, that happened at Westfield last night, that the question was not truly answered. What policies specifically do you support to expand and uplift the middle class? Nothing about, this is what's happening now. What specific actions do you support to actually improve our lives? Because we're not you. You make a lot more money than us. You have a lot of investments.
You're worth a lot more money.
As our elected representatives to support us.
To support the middle class.
We need to be able to cut taxes for all Americans, not just for very few on top. That was done already. They to deregulate the economy, to make sure that the small business, you don't have to follow, you cannot afford to hire lawyers for $1,000 an hour like a lot of large businesses can. So we need to deregulate the economy and opportunities. We need to regulate financial markets. Small banking almost gone. A lot of large companies have access to capital. Small businesses don't anymore. And if we're going to rely on government grants, believe me, only very few are going to get them. And that's not a way to fund the economy. It needs to go through access to financial markets. We need to make sure that we don't have inflation, so interest rates are not high. And people have an affordable interest rate because it's expensive. The capital is getting more and more expensive. We need to make sure that we have good energy policy because bad energy policies are driving a lot of distortion and expensive. Very expensive. That's because that's all part of our product. We need to make sure that we don't depend on China, that we manipulate our supply chain and able to bring them jobs back to America where we have American manufacturing, we have American jobs, not Chinese manipulating markets and supply chain and making a lot of money and distorting the prices. So all of these policies will bring prosperity to middle class people. We try to put this through regulation, through laws, and through a tax base. That is the policy we're going to do. And we're also looking how we make sure that we provide more flexibility in welfare programs where actually cash go directly more to the people to decide. Do you need to go to nursing home? Or maybe you need to have a couple of days of services come to your house. So people have more discretion and flexibility. How will you make sure that we have a healthier food? How people on food stamps have an ability to eat healthier food and move out from food stamps or something else.
What are you talking about?
So we're trying to work how we can make this programs to help the people. It is a lot, but we have to address all of them, including education. So education and skills. And not everyone needs to go to college and get a bunch of degrees with fake diplomas and loans and have skills.
What? Fake degrees? That's a new one.
A similar subject. We have Diane from Alexandria.
Where you at, Diane?
There. Okay, and Alexander Stearns.
First, somebody's taking notes.
It's all recorded.
Do you support the kidnapping/detention of legal immigrants without charges or due process?
Thank you.
Yes
or no? Yes or no?
Battling immigration, but people who come here illegally and break open borders. I do not support cartels. I don't support racism. And I've been on the border many times. These people put lives of our children and your children and your children.
Did Trump threaten your status?
So I do not support all these illegals being brought to the country. If country doesn't have a border, you will not have a country.
We're the strongest military in the world.
Grandma.
The answer is yes, you support it.
The question's about due process.
Thank you.
The rule of law to protect our border and not come here illegally.
That's not what's happening. That is not what's happening. Stop perpetuating the lies.
Is to protect people.
Yes. It's a democracy.
People of this country, that is my number job, to protect this country from cartels and all of the violence that brings us to the border. That is my job.
You're afraid. You're afraid.
Elected people follow the law. There was a ruling to prevent those planes from leaving.
And you're not stopping it.
Ignored them. Yes.
And you're letting him get away with it. Yes.
Just a second, please.
The question I asked, do you support the kidnapping detention of legal immigrants?
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
So if you have an example, please share it with me and my team. You
don't own a television? Do you not read the news?
In the country.
Eric and David are very good snappers.
Excuse me, I do have examples.
Thank you.
Recently, several stories and videos of abductions from masked ICE agents have surfaced. Sorry if I butchered the name. Mohammed Kali and Ruliza Ozturk.
Yes.
Individuals, students on valid F1 visas. Look up that. Shut up, sir. These have gone viral. If you say you haven't seen these videos, tell your people who work for you to show you that.
Yeah, do your job.
I don't look at all of the videos, otherwise I'll spend no time just for looking at the internet. I don't know that's
I'm actually not going to ask you my question. As an immigrant yourself, someone who came here legally, do you justify these acts? What do you plan on doing again? Shut up, sir.
You can't talk to me like that.
Yes, he did. Answer the question.
If you don't talk to someone like that, please, if you want to address the comments to me.
Oh, now you're in charge.
Yes.
Now you're in charge.
What's like that every day?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of protection for legal immigrants. Unfortunately, a lot of people come here illegally and not. That you have, if it happened in Indiana,
from your
of
district.
someone who you believe is legally and an immigrant and has been abused, please refer to my office. I haven't had any cases like that in my district. You know, if there is an evidence, if a case in Indiana 5 and you believe someone is here truly legally,
Like you?
and I don't follow you, please let me know, and I'll definitely look into that.
Maybe we'll decide you're
around the
illegal.
country, but I'm responsibility for Indiana 5. So if you have any specific cases in Indiana 5, please let me know, because I haven't seen something, but I know that the country is danger by open borders and allowing lawlessness. That is not acceptable. We need to be control of war, and I think for national security, we cannot open borders to cartels and criminals.
Oh my God.
They aren't open.
Laura Smith.
Ridiculous answer.
I don't like them, but I'm telling you the truth.
Well, you're not. Well, you're not here in person. Yeah, should we just decide you're illegal?
Indiana farmers need potash to grow corn. We produce no potash in the United States of America. It is all imported from Canada.
Yes.
The tariffs, what are you saying to farmers who are going to be hurt and who are now struggling to bear the costs of of getting potash for their corn because of the tariffs that are being enacted. I've spoken to farmers this week because this is my job, and I know they're struggling. What's your answer?
So what do you do?
I'm not, that's not the issue.
Okay, because I'm a farmer myself, so I'll share.
You're also worth $25 million.
The input costs become a bigger problem. Actually, not just Canada. Actually, Belarus is also big in potash business, and we shouldn't be dependent. With the war in Russia and Belarus, it caused a lot of problems because Russia and Belarus one of the bigger. But if we are going to be very, not dependent on countries, including any countries, we have to have more production back home. And we need to be able to have manufacturing facilities. Because every time when we have pandemic, including your friend Canada, screw us with lumber prices because they have a control of lumber prices. They were able to increase prices of lumber, which actually make all of the houses more expensive.
So she's anti-Canadian.
Canada was doing. So Canada needs also to become an ally in a lot of areas. If they're not going to be an ally, helping us to deal with this issue, then we need to stop depending on them and find out the better life and do things domestically. Because we
Well, you just fired all the scientists.
But price of potash was driven mainly because Russia and Belarus are big producers and we put sanctions on that. And that was what drove significantly the price of that. But we don't want to be dependent on Belarus and Russia to buy
So when you take away all the university fundings that research this stuff,
Democracy Now! just did a report about how Elon Musk's grandfather was deported from Canada for being a neo-Nazi.
and his mommy.
His family moved to the apartheid government of South Africa, where they made them millions. A government based on the segregation of skin color. You say they're good people, you say you would have done the same things he would have done. Elon Musk was here illegally when his student visa expired. He was not deported.
He's still
detained.
illegal.
What is your honest appraisal of Elon Musk and Doge?
He's a welfare queen.
all of these. I don't know what his status is. So that's
He's a welfare queen and a Nazi.
Direction of fiscal issue, okay? So
That's your job. It's your job.
And working with Doge directly on issues, him and a lot of people under him. I don't always work directly with him.
We'll find
out. Out him, that actually directly working with me. And a lot of these people are young people, that created businesses in technology and truly try to figure out how to organize government. So they're helping to bring transparency. And no one paid attention. Elon has $200 million. You might be talking to government too. You might like that.
Elon is also a ketamine addict.
That's a choice you make. I don't want our money to be wasted. I want to make sure that we have accountability, that we don't send blank checks. Because if we run out of money, then we cannot help.
I don't think you're in any danger.
So we have to be much smarter.
Only two.
What they're doing, and people there.
So why did they fire all the inspector generals? I've asked you 3 times to review that.
Oh, this will be a good one.
Take your hat off.
Inspector generals in order to do the job, but we have plenty of them. So we have to do that, and this is the questions that they will have to. But a lot of chief accounting officers, 15 point changes, a lot of them. So we need to do that, but we need to think. One thing I have to tell you, because inspector generals can get worse, honestly. We need to figure out how we can audit government better, because Dodge is going to be
Dodge is a farce. It's a joke.
Yeah, I'll try to do as part of my reports how we can have better auditors that are independent, give us better information. But the thing that is actually the worst on this, they send us a lot of information that Congress never acts on it. That is the biggest problem. They send a lot of reports that say this, Congress never. We need to put some strings where Congress has to act.
Well, then do it.
I'm trying to reform it, but you need to understand I'm one of over 500 people, so I do my best what I can. And I try to figure out
and try to fight with my party and try to force my party to take responsibility of government, not to blame previous administration.
That's what you've been doing.
Your website doesn't say that.
We're trying to fix this, which is very difficult to do because this is a quarter-of-a-century problem. You know, but we're trying to do at least move the needle on that. That's what we're trying to accomplish, and I'll do my best.
That's not the message.
And I'll see what we do.
But hopefully we'll have some success, because I have a working group together. Hopefully we'll have success. I'll do my best what it takes to do it. But, you know, listen, I have to get some votes there too, so it's not that easy, but we'll try.
Hey, sir,
Try harder.
So, do you support the federal cut for the middle class? Because a lot of citizens are struggling, and a lot of people, you know, we're working hard.
Working class.
And, yeah, working class. I agree with that 100%.
Not the middle class, the working class.
Same thing. Anyways, the federal government keeps wasting a lot of money. We're sending money around the world.
Not
we need to start worrying about our citizens.
Not anymore.
And our communities. Our communities.
Some of us have family overseas.
Her vote can help make that change.
What? For what?
Our vote can help.
Which vote? What are we voting
My
on?
question.
So what is President Trump trying to do in his tax cuts? He tried to do two things. He wants to cut taxes for small businesses. There is nothing to do. Corporate taxes already were fixed before, and it's not even a conversation, right? But he wants to make sure that not only corporations get lower taxes, but small businesses have the same opportunity. The businesses, including farmers, can buy equipment, so we have a deductions for buying equipment. We have an ability to deduct for research and development. He's looking how we can have more deductions for domestic bought cars, so we can help domestic manufacturers. So he wants to try to help how we can have, you know, grow domestic jobs, give incentives for companies to invest in the United States, not China or other countries, because we cannot be dependent on foreign countries so much. Not all of manufacturing can be here, but a lot more can be and shall be. Some of this is a national security issue. But we also want to make sure some of the cuts that, you know, they do not create growth, but help people with lower income. He wants to make sure that he's also going to cut taxes for working class people and have them an ability to
You could raise minimum wage, you could have national health care.
Heavy price tax, right? Because some of this tax cut will have growth, some will not. But he wants to help working class people.
No, he
That's why
doesn't.
we're looking and say, okay, the tax
He doesn't
cut
care about us.
growth. How can we look at spending and at least come after fraud and abuse to offset some of that so we don't increase deficits? And that is what the whole what is discussion, you know, and that I actually work in, you know, listen, some Republicans, and I don't want to change the economy, not to show their effect. I disagree with that. We cannot change the rules. We need to be honest with the people. We cannot increase deficits. So I'm trying to work and say, okay, how can we make sure that we're able to do these tax cuts, but also not to increase our deficits and go at least bad stuff and come after big monopolies that making a lot of money in the sea. We have lots and lots of special interest groups. And it's and actually we take money, we will take more money from rich monopolies than ever existed. Then we're talking trillions. It's going to be brutal. They're going to spend a lot of money telling lies about us. They have a lot of propaganda to spend.
Then overturn Citizens United.
We're not just taxing them. They take trillions from very rich corporations. They're going to be pissed. And some of them not for profit. And some of them are going to come after us and spread a lot of lies. But we need to stand the ground and not to be afraid to do that, because we have to save country fiscally and make sure we deliver promises to the people. We promise the people we cannot pull the rug under people's feet. We need to make sure that we deliver on Social Security, on Medicare, have better Medicaid for people and better services. It's extremely important. And taxes on Americans or government. President Trump is very committed.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
People, that was his base. People who are lucky. He appreciates a lot of people, and he's really true.
Can I ask
the money, and I know that you might not like it, but a lot of issues that he's trying to do, I think.
Can I ask a follow-up? Can I ask a follow-up to that?
Fran Hoffman. We are not
Popularity
related.
contest.
Fran, are you here?
Why is the working class that has to shoulder this transition? Like, why?
I'll try. What are you, I don't know if this is working. You're good.
Take your time, it's good.
What are you doing? This isn't working. Is it on? Oh, it's on.
It's probably dying.
What are you doing to make sure that we continue to receive our Social Security? The acting head of the Social Security recently disagreed with the court order and said he just shut the whole Social Security down because of that. But he did not do it, fortunately. But can you guarantee that our Social Security is not going to be stopped?
No, I can guarantee you for sure. Your husband did not want to be stopped.
Wait,
The Social
she said
Security will
no.
be protected and
How?
will give these benefits. But let
How?
me tell you something. So this is an issue, and I think I had discussion, some of you maybe it wasn't my town hall. This is an issue that, will have to be dealt by next president. On a bipartisan basis. It
Can I ask
cannot
a
even be dealt with on a bipartisan basis.
I
So
have
I'll
to make
tell
a point.
you. Social, is
Let
that
me
just
make a point. Over what, I don't know, it's 175,000 like that. They don't pay Social Security on their
and
income.
that is,
I did.
I understand, and listen. And
Make them pay.
The discussion has to be, we tried to put, last Congress, we introduced bipartisan fiscal committee, because it has to be bipartisan, it has to be done by Congress to with agreement with the president.
Well, you're not doing
You cannot do a
anything.
partisan issue, it needs to have 60 votes, you cannot even do it right
I know
now
all
in
that.
Republican
I know
ways,
all
right?
that.
So we introduce in the Senate and in the House bipartisan fiscal commission. Unfortunately, Congress didn't want to do it. I fight with both parties. I said we need to at least develop a plan, put everything on the table. Let's have a serious adult discussion. Let's just make sure that we deal with that, to make sure that the people that, for seniors, for protection,
let me
and
say
what do we do with young people? What are we going to address for young people? Because you guys have enough Social Security. The young people over there are in big trouble. And this is just the numbers. This is just
What's your definition of
we
young?
have a lot of people retiring, we have baby boomer generations, the numbers, we have less people working than Social Security is getting the money. So we'll have to have this discussion. Do young people want to pay higher taxes? Do young people want to have different services? What young people want to do? Really, that's a discussion that young people are highly encouraged to participate in next presidential election very vividly and very
If there is an election.
Stop dividing us. Stop dividing us.
Next president will have to deal with it, because if we don't do anything, we have.
Oh, there she goes with her chart.
Security, everyone tries
Can I
to
say
do
something? Can I
As
say
of right now, the only thing that president is trying to do, and Ilan, they at least want to make sure that we don't have fraud happening in Social Security. A lot of people try to do that.
How many fraud charges does Trump have?
Interesting from a 34 count
A lot
felon.
of calls that people try to take your money. So that is the only thing.
Trump was convicted of fraud.
Unfortunately, until we have a bipartisan.
Grifter. He's a
We
grifter.
have a follow-up question on the other side of the aisle.
I have a follow-up question.
She has a follow-up question.
Oh my God.
Can you let her finish?
I don't have her card, but she has a follow-up question.
Oh my
need to let people first.
I want to know why you talk so fast so that we can't understand what
Well,
you're
I'm
saying.
trying to speak fast.
Let me speak. Let me speak. You drown us out with word salads. You do not answer the questions. No, you do not. You don't have specifics. You do not
I give
have
very
specifics.
specific answers.
And
This
if you
issue will not be
slow
dealt
down
for
and
4 years.
talking and listen.
For 4 years, it's not going to be dealt.
Why not?
Well, that sounds easy for you then.
Why not? This is an honest answer.
You won't have a job.
You will have to have a chance to elect the president. Whether you like people or not.
You don't even
we'll have
care.
to deal with that.
Now.
This issue will not be dealt right now because Democrats don't want to do anything.
Republicans are in control.
Yeah, it's your problem. You are in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House.
Social Security.
You have all three branches. Stop blaming Democrats.
But it takes 60 people in the Senate, and we cannot.
Then work across the aisle.
Okay, I'd like to go back to Social Security follow-up question.
Social Security follow-up question. I would appreciate a very specific yes or no answer and follow-up.
Yes.
Regarding Social Security, would you commit today to initiate legislation that would remove the, I believe, $160,000 cap on earnings for Social Security, so that people such as Elon Musk, who are making billions a year, would pay for Social Security on every dime they earn?
Like us.
You want to save
Introduce it.
There's a good way to start.
Your question, no. I have a specific answer, no. But what I would like to have a discussion, but as that, to put everything on the table, have discussion, what to do about Social Security. But I will not be increasing taxes right now, and I would not support that legislation.
Why? Because she's bought by the rich.
Raising taxes, and it's going to be affecting a lot of young people. We need to have a discussion. How do we We need to decide how we're going to be balancing the fund. You know, but I would not be supporting that legislation.
What is special about 161,000 that doesn't get any
People have
tax?
to discuss it, but what I just say right now, I'm not supporting tax increases right now because the economy is in a bad shape.
On the people that can afford it.
A lot of small businesses here work behind taxes. We cannot increase taxes when we have so many problems. We need to increase taxes. We need to try to cut at some level, but at least to keep taxes at the same level, because a huge increase on every American when the economy in the shape is not right. We need to make sure, and especially
Most Americans don't make that
my
much.
answer your question is no.
Your answer is very revealing.
My answer is no. I will not support a tax increase. I hope I answer your question.
Resign.
Heinzelman?
No commitment.
Look, I very much appreciate you being here.
It's her job.
Proud. It is your job, but you're here. I appreciate it.
Just listen to us.
My concern, what I see with Doge, I love our national parks, for example. They're cutting money from the national parks. I don't understand all the complexity of Department of Education and some of the cuts they're making, but it seems very disingenuous with the overwhelming majority of the budget, which you're concerned about, and I believe that, and I believe you're trying to help balance the budget. I believe you on that. I think you're fiscally responsible, or trying to be. I appreciate that. But the overwhelming majority of all of the money that we spend in this country is on military, police, and fire locally. That's your budget. How can Doge, the president, the Republicans, pretend that they're cutting spending when I have heard not one thing about cutting the waste and fraud in the military? That is, the most money spent is the most fraud and deception. That's where the money is. So what are we doing on that front?
Can I answer your questions? Because it applies, as soon as I say some names, please just don't scream at me right away. Let's listen to me a little bit, okay? So I'll explain to you. So if I look from all of this spending, half of discretionary spending, about $1 trillion, is with military. You know, actually less than that. You know, so and we have half now, about $1 trillion on interest. Actually, interest is higher right now than $1 trillion. So $1 trillion already spent actually on the military. And President Trump is actually, and Secretary Hegseth is trying to see what to do. I know it's a big thing. They're upset.
He's vomitous.
He violated the Espionage Act.
We cannot continue giving more money, but we need to modernize military. What we told them, the only thing we're going to give them, that's it. Even our budget hawks are very happy. $100 billion is going to be this reconciliation. That is max. That is max, that we are not increasing. We cannot afford to give more money. But what we told them, we'll give you flexibility. If you can find savings in some of this program, and you're right, this department has been audible for such a long time. We get this
alarming reports all the time. What's happening is if you find some savings from these programs, you have the ability to use for other causes to modernize military, to make it better, to make it stronger, because we do not have more money to continue giving that. But I'll give you one thing, that's how lobby Washington DC works. Defense used to be 7-8% of GDP, now it's becoming 1%. Now, healthcare used to be 1% of GDP. Now it's becoming 6-7, and healthcare lobby spending 3 times more than defense lobby. So you can see that our spending is increasing, and most of that stuff that sits in the healthcare, it's put on the mandatory spending, automatic, that no one ever looks. Congress never even looks, so they've been able to do money laundering operations. So what we're trying to do, and that's something Pete actually is trying to do. What Congress said, we cannot give more money. We told them, you need to do better, audit your Department of Defense.
He's busy playing war games.
Better with your money. And they're going to become very serious about that, because it cannot be like every appropriations, everyone is asking more money. We cannot afford to deploy. We're doing that, we're dealing with that, but we have to modernize the military. It's become very different, multidimensional war. The risk threats are very, very significant, and not the same than before, and we have to be strong as a country. So that's what we do. So we have a Department of Defense.
That's why we love Signal.
And allow them flexibility, but not giving them more money.
It seems that no one wants to make the tough cuts on the departments that are spending the most money because of fear mongering mostly.
Yeah, fear mongering and lots of lobbying and everything else.
They're just picking at the.
Then overturn Citizens United.
Including Dodge, he actually, the meeting Elon had, and I know that you don't like him too, so I shouldn't be using his name much too. But he's trying to do this Department of Defense because we're trying to look how we can finally audit them.
Compromise.
Audited disclaims opinion. You need to understand, when audited disclaims the opinion, it means it's so bad. And we don't have the situation where people...
He's high on ketamine.
...whipping off the ship so they can spend money. I mean, this is stupid. We need to incentivize savings and efficiency within our government entities, and not cater to very expensive couple lobbying firms that produce all this equipment. We have to be more competitive. I mean, actually, Pete, one thing that you might not like about him, a lot of things, but one thing you should like,
he's
he never was put in that position because defense lobby wanted him. He's not owed to them. They do not like him. They do not lobby for him. He makes them nervous.
He's a Nazi.
Get him fired.
He's actually feeling very nervous because they can get a lot of lucrative contracts from other predecessors on both parties, and Pete is not willing to play the game.
Not qualified.
So he's very dependent on that and try to actually help men and women on the ground, how we can better pay them and have better equipment for them, not for big companies and DC that spend a lot of cash.
Except the ones that are thrown out.
I do vote locally, and I appreciate, we need to balance budget. All of our homes have to work on a balanced budget, and I wish you luck with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Chelsea Packland?
What's that?
Sorry? I'm sorry, Chelsea Packard.
Oh, I know that's right.
You do. What?
That's a good one.
Good afternoon. So we hear a lot about the federal funding cuts, to other countries and the aid that we provide. But what about the federal funding here? I volunteer at multiple nonprofits, one of them being the Soup Kitchen. We rely on FEMA aid to be able to feed our community. And it's looking like we're not going to be able to get that. I want to know what your thoughts are on the federal funding cuts to things that are keeping our working class alive.
We need to make sure that we have to have money for the good causes and help people who really need. That's why we need to come up to bad stuff, and a lot of money that we try to come don't go to we the people. Unfortunately, a lot of money go to big special interests on top that make a lot of money, and a lot of ways they big salaries themselves.
They're rich.
A lot of hospital non-for-profit still making millions of dollars with our money, and people don't get services.
Why do people have to starve while you figure it out?
Hold on, guys, I'm not done, so just chill.
what we're trying to do is that we can actually, the programs that do help people, they need the most vulnerable, can get better services. And really what's the challenge with a lot of the services, federal government spends a lot of money, and I go in the community, and I have some richer communities, but very poor community too, and I don't see this money on the ground. So we need to see where the money going, who is getting this money, and what results they get, and maybe reform some of these programs where people can have a direct, ability to decide how the money is going to be spent to help them, because variety of the services, maybe people need a variety of services. So this is the discussion is going to be happening when we actually, hopefully, will have an appropriation done in September, right? So this is a discussion. We didn't do appropriations again. We had to do CR again. Congress is not able to pass appropriations. We have unauthorized spending for decades, and we haven't been doing it. So I actually tried to put a group together, like a task force, to help us at least to start doing something. So that is going to be discussed. But I think the most needed programs, I'm going to make sure that we save and maybe do better with them.
Okay, so clearly you have an idea that we have programs that need funded, right? So how about instead of saying that we're gonna discuss this, when you've been in office, I mean, how long now, right? Yeah. Okay, so maybe instead of discussing this over and over and over again and not getting anywhere, you guys already know the programs that need support. You know that the soup kitchen needs support. You know people need housing support.
Yes.
You know this, and you know the CEOs that are taking off the top and screwing us. So why not just do something about it instead of sitting here lying to our faces that you give a shit about us?
Well, listen.
What are you doing
I came from very humble backgrounds too.
You're worth $25 million.
I was making $7 an hour. I didn't have health care. And I had to work 9 months.
Well, then you should be committed to it.
So I understand the challenges people have on the ground.
No,
so I wasn't born with a silver spoon. But I'll tell you what the challenges happen right
You don't
now.
have to be born
And
with
that's why
this
Congress is broken.
to be a
So I
human
had to,
being.
what I'm doing now, I pick a fight with my own party, which is not very easy.
Oh.
The only good thing, we have a very
Keep us
tight majority.
posted.
And I said, we have to
September.
start governing. We have a mandate from the people,
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
my party is in charge. So we're trying to make sure that our funding process is start functioning. That Congress actually start understanding. No one knows. Most people, I'm a CPA, I can put Excel just put Excel spreadsheet together. We have no
And you should know fraud when you see it.
No one cares what is in these numbers. Everyone goes to gaining fundraising, trying to get reelected, and try to deal with that this time and spread lies and raise the money. That's all they do, and worry that special interest groups will spend a ton of money against you with lies if you challenge them and take the money. And I said, we need to be not afraid, need to be bold, and need to be able to come after real money that sits in Washington, D.C. to make sure that this program serves the people. That's what we're going to do. We have 2 steps on that. One step is going to be reconciliation, where it allows us to look on this program automatic, that normally Congress doesn't do. And it's a lot of these programs that in very corrupt healthcare. Insurance, hospitals, PBM, pharma making a ton of money. They're taking your money. I'm not against businesses making money in the private world. They're taking money from you and overcharging you with no transparency, not providing service. The second part is going to be our appropriation process. We can't put our act together. So I asked, can we have a working group on this issue? They didn't want to do it. I had to fight with the speaker. I had to block the speaker. Group together. You are not going to be the Speaker of the House. That's not me. There result from committee. I'm not participating in this clown show. I am going to deal with this issue. We have to deliver for the people. So now we put a working group together, one dealing with reconciliation, one dealing with actual appropriations, and I'm trying to organize people. It's a lot of my personal work too, believe me. It takes an enormous amount of energy from me to try to at least move this Titanic and move the needle on some of these programs and have actually real policy. And I'll be very transparent with you what they are going to be. It is not very easy to come after your own party and actually challenge them like that.
But you have our support if you will do it.
Our fiscal situation is because we want to make sure we help people they're the most vulnerable and people of the provinces. This is very important, and I'll do whatever I can. I mean, tight majority helps a little bit. If we wouldn't have a tight majority, we're going to be in, I would be in real trouble. So we're going to try to do that, and I hope, we might disagree on a lot of issues, but on some of this issue, I hope you can support me, because I think what we're trying to do, we're trying to save the money for the people that we want to help. And pay them off for the people that are using them. We're not going to be cutting programs that are important for the country. We want to make sure that they're better funded, that emergency services are better, that they're not wasting money, and they're more accountable to Congress, because they never tell us. Since we don't do authorization, that's an unfortunate reality. Maybe it's complicated. The process set up.
Oh,
Congress
no.
is supposed to authorize the spending, and as these agencies, what are you doing and not doing? We don't do it. We don't do hearings, so Congress has to force to do it, and that's what we're trying to change.
Okay, well, no, and great, but I mean, you guys understand that while you're doing this, the most vulnerable that you're trying to help are actually gonna die. Like, you pull the rug out from underneath us and say, we're cutting all of this stuff while we go in and we figure out who's the bad guy, when we already know who the bad guys are, let's just be honest.
Amen.
Like, and now we've got people like, we are struggling here. We are struggling to keep people alive.
And that's what I understand it. And we didn't cut anything. We actually continue cutting right now. There is nothing that was cut anything at all, or planned to be cut.
Ask a nonprofit leader that.
Right now, we passed a CR. Actually, that's a Pelosi funded. We actually, Nancy Pelosi budget. We continue.
Oh my God.
Republicans actually don't like, right?
Can you guys just stop doing right and left and focus on right and wrong, please?
Shame! Shame! That's Chelsea.
But this cannot continue forever because we're going bankrupt. We have to start looking what is good.
Tax the rich.
And we're trying to grow the economy, try to come up with that spending, and paying for jobs. And ultimately, that's what President Trump ran on. That was a message that he was elected to do. That is a mandate to Republicans. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything.
He's busy golfing.
Majority, people who voted, they support it. Ultimately, in 4 years, you have an opportunity to elect different president, and maybe he should run.
If we do.
You have an opportunity, right? And that's right. And that's, you can do that too. You can do that too. You don't like what you have a chance to express the vote. If I don't represent the majority of this district, what I'm doing, trying to do, well, you'll have someone else. That's what elections do. But I appreciate at least listening to me this time, and I appreciate your questions. And if I can be helpful in any way,
You should resign.
because I think we can agree on more than you think. But thank you for being calm and asking questions.
Okay, we're gonna go next to Michelle right here. She's been patient.
I just have a quick question, because you've heard from a soup kitchen now that does not have the funding apparently to do what they need to do. And you have the ability as a person, not as a congressperson, but as an actual person who lives in this community, to donate and make sure that they have the money that they need to be able to feed the people. So, what do they want to do to personally make sure that organizations like this have money? I donate to causes all the time. What do you do to donate to and support the causes in our community?
Well, listen, and I actually support a lot of causes. And I will try to maybe do a little bit more in Delaware County and the causes. I
Donate the food from your farm.
Kitchen in Madison County, but I can do a little bit more in your community too. I live in Noblesville, so it's a little bit easier for me. But honestly, people here probably need more.
They take check.
Find good jobs to do that, and I try to do as much as I can to help causes and volunteer. Actually, I will do a lot of organization, and I have a little bit more time. I'm very busy with my time.
Volunteering is
And that's right. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I try to donate to a lot of organizations, to a lot of causes. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think, not for the government to decide which causes are good, but for us as individuals decide which causes are good.
Hunger is a good
We
cause.
all like different causes. I think we actually need to allow better deductibility of charity donations for people, not only for wealthy people that do, the deduction, Schedule A deduction, but actually for the people that maybe do standard deduction, because I'm not that policy to do other deductions, but I do standard deductions, but so I understand that a lot of people maybe would do more if we would change the tax code and allow all of the people to be able to take benefit for the deductions for charity causes, because we need to make sure that these causes are actually supported, and these causes are very important for the community. And I try to attend as many events as I could here. This is the new area for me, Delaware County. I need to get to know more people. You probably don't know, because it's a new added to my district I didn't have before. So I'll try to be more. I have office here for that reason. But if there is something I can be helpful, you let me know. And I hopefully, as a federal government, we can do better with some of these programs.
Why is the burden on us?
Mr. Floyd Llewellyn.
Well, you need to tell me. What?
Was that you?
I don't know. Then I don't know. You tell me more. And I'm listening what you have to say.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Not what's needed my attention, but I want to follow up on what she said, because I'm Googling right now. Congresswoman Sparks, your net worth
25 million.
is $25.32 million.
Tax the rich.
Tax the rich. Tax the rich.
Tax the rich. To support Chelsea's soup kitchen. And you could donate $1 million and you wouldn't even feel the pain of it.
Well, I wish I would have $1 million in cash. Most of the money is land, my farmland, the land that we own. It's appreciated value a lot. And maybe someday when I can retire and sell land, I have more money and I can spend more time doing this and actually help more causes on the ground. So I wish I would have all the cash that we have in land, and hopefully we don't have high taxes, because a lot of farmers getting the land, paying high taxes, will have to sell them. So Hamilton County has a lot of appreciation of land, but I think that is a challenge, and farming is a tough business, but I think in a lot of ways, but maybe someday that I can be able to retire, and maybe if I sell the land, I'll have more ability to do.
Next question.
Listen, charity causes are important, and I'm trying to help as much as I can, in a lot of ways.
Emergency.
Hold on. Someone's having a seizure. Can we get EMTs go ahead and call?
Can we just have just a second, please?
There's a nurse.
Hey, we need medical. We need medical. There's an EMT. Hey, let's not film that part though. That'll shame people.
I could for just a second. There's too many people around you now.
I wasn't sure what you wanted to do. So.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry.
I totally actually agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Okay, EMTs are here.
We're right there.
Because they don't do anything for veterans. They're going to cut it. There you go. You got it. Thank
you. And so I want to talk about the fraud, waste, and abuse that you talked about at the beginning. Specifically, we understand that long-term care is designed to get rid of generational wealth, because grandma goes in, she loses her home just so Medicaid can take over, which I think is shameful. But the biggest thing I'm concerned about, any talk to cut Medicaid and Medicare, do you know what happens? Because I know, I've seen it. When a patient does not have a payee source, tell me, what do you think happens?
By no means we try to do any cuts to Medicare, Medicaid.
Okay,
Just to make
okay,
sure that
that's not my question. Do you know what happens?
Well, you tell me what's
Okay, so what happens is, in the state of Indiana, I've seen this happen in Muncie. If a facility loses a payer source for a patient, they will get them 3 days in a hotel and ship them out. So, what will you do specifically? And I need an answer as a person, not as a CPA, not as a congresswoman. What will you tell your Republican colleagues that are saying that all these people on Medicare and Medicaid are all parasites, what are you going to say to them? Because what you're doing, and what I need to hear is how many Hoosiers are you willing to put on the street to their death if you let any funding? Because here's the thing, you might not be voting for it now, but you're going to allow it because Trump is threatening you to listen to his budget.
Yeah.
I need you to tell me to my face, as someone that's worked in healthcare since they were 18, none of my patients will end up on the street because you're worried about your immigration status being revoked by a corrupt president.
So I just want to make sure. Healthcare is an issue that I've been working for a very long time. And it's
Big dub.
But listen, and I work with a lot of people, and I'd be happy to hear your input, and I want to make sure.
I call your office every day.
I want to make sure. We actually have working groups that we can do one in Delaware County on these issues. Please leave your information, because I'm very open-minded, because I like to hear firsthand experience how to do, because we need to make sure that people on Medicare and Medicaid get the best services. And we are not right now like a Medicaid Advantage. A lot of these insurance companies overbilling us and not providing services.
And I understand
That's the reality.
And I understand that, but that's not my question.
So we are going to come after that stuff to make sure that these programs are better. So no one is trying. We actually try to make benefits better on Medicare and Medicaid. We also need to make sure that we spend an enormous amount on uncompensated care. Hospitals are cooking the books, and people are getting these huge bills, are going bankrupt. 1 of 6 Hoosiers are going bankrupt on medical debt. So we need to start getting them accountable. What is really happening here? And start looking at all of that. So this is an issue that the president endorsed to a lot of people. They never even, like after that, Obamacare repeal, every Republican, okay, we're done with this, we don't deal with healthcare. Said we cannot deal with healthcare. We need to make it better for the people. So that is an issue that I personally push for. And this is an issue that I want to make sure we address with price transparency, better competition for value, and better services. It's not going to be easy. We cannot do it overnight, but we have to fix these programs and make sure that people are not abused on these programs, because a lot of money are made, but most people don't get benefit. So I said I will personally work on this legislation to come up to bad stuff and what to do, how the doctors can provide with services, how doctors are not owned by hospitals now and the hospitals overbilling them. So do we create a lot of perverse incentives in this area, and we need to fix it. So I am personally working on this legislation. I push on President Trump to work on this, and he is willing to back it up because he cares about the country.
Healthcare should not be for profit.
If you are here, you sign up to my newsletter because I'm being very transparent.
I have signed up. I don't get anything from you.
People will get better benefits.
Representative, I need you to answer the question, because I'm understanding you're grandstanding in this circular way. I understand there's fraud, waste, and abuse, and I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yes.
But I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yes.
But I'm asking how many patients you're willing to let die on the street until you fix it.
No, listen, people are down with this now.
But what are you doing now? They've already put Medicare for all. Support that.
Listen, I don't. It's going to be Medicaid.
Get her, Floyd.
Not very good Medicaid for all. I do not support the government takeover of healthcare. But I'll tell you one thing, and if you've seen my email, I said we have 2 choices. No, this is the choices we have. We either restore competition, or Bernie Sanders will prevail and have Medicaid for all. Will be full government takeover of healthcare. I told my side, we have to do something about that. And some of you might like it.
And you still not answer the question, how many Hoosiers are you willing to let die while you figure it out?
We are trying to fix what we can to make sure that it's better. So right now, we haven't made any changes.
Not a commitment.
The changes we're going to do, try to improve price transparency, make sure that money go to the right causes. You're going to see, we'll be very transparent on that. That is an issue that I...
Healthcare for all.
So I have to pass legislation.
Patients are getting put on the street now, Victoria.
I agree with you, and that is not acceptable. We have to fix it.
Then legislate
telling you about your Christian name.
Legislate all those things.
I'm working on that. I will look at what Medicare.
Thank you, it is now 1:05.
Okay, we have,
Today.
let's have a veteran to say one thing, they hear, let's accept that.
Good job,
Good job. Good job.
Can't hear you.
Oh my goodness.
See if the poll. Oh, everybody's
VA health system for many years, and I have to say that the facility here in Muncie and Marion and Fort Wayne have been very good for me. I can't speak for everybody, I understand that, but they have. They've done a very good job for me. I have no complaints. I would give them a 5-star rating, and I would rather go to them than I would a civilian doctor. That's how much and they care, and I can tell that anytime I talk to them to fill a prescription or go in for physical. They are there for me, and I feel good about it. So I wanted to say something good about the VA to maybe offset a little bit of this bad things about the VA and everything else we've heard about.
We support it.
It's the government,
I know
not the
it is, but
VA.
I want to thank you for being here. Hopefully you can listen one next time, but I appreciate you being here. Even if we disagree, I appreciate we have a conversation, and hopefully we can have more direct conversation. Have a blessed weekend, and thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone.
If you want to know how to fight back, you can join indivisible.org.
I thought you were going to take personal questions. I thought you were going to take personal questions. You said you were going to take personal questions. Ran right out after she said she was going to take personal questions. She's going to stick around. Y'all, craziness. Bye. Also, hold on, I think the person you guys need to be voting for our congressperson is Jackson Franklin right there in the blue. Vote for him. Get rid of this crazy bitch.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, I don't know how to end this.
I know.
Great job. Great question.
Thank you. Oh my.
Okay, so this is for everybody who watched this video. I just want to say thank you. What you're about to see is they about to walk outside. He's about to basically turn the thing off. She hopped right into a car. This was actually my first time watching a town hall meeting. I did start to get into like politics, maybe like the past like couple months ago. I would say it's at least been like 5 months now, 6 months now. I've been interested and really understanding it more. I really didn't understand it in the past. So yeah, I'm putting some of this out, and I know it was some people on the TikTok that wanted the whole town hall. So I think I came in at the beginning. You see it's like an hour or something. So yeah, this is the town hall. I just had to, you know, write my own or do my own ending because of the fact that I don't want the video to get like copyrighted or anything. So it could become an original video because my voice is now on the video. So, and of course, you know, in America at this point, we all got to make our money because everything is absolutely nuts and crazy. But this was actually a good town hall. Like, they were actually really asking her some good questions. She was full of it. She was dodging. She was going around. She was trying to separate them. She was talking about the middle class and the working class, and it's just like, miss, we all fucking working at this point. And at this point, like, the rich is taking advantage, just like how Elon Musk, it was crazy how like he invested in like his own, not invested, but he bought his own company, and they were saying like, you can't do that because that's illegal, like. And it's a whole nother thing. I didn't really want to be too political, but I was watching this and wanted to show y'all.